Let's play Word 500. I'm going to start with braise. Ooh, all red. That's a great result because now we can just do a new word. How about jumpy? All right, one green. The reason I use uncommon letters is mostly for yellows, but at least we can say, okay, there's probably not a J in the word because J is extremely uncommon. So, in fact, it's the most uncommon letter. So we're just going to pick another green. We do need a vowel, so why don't we just say that U is second and there's nothing else until proven otherwise. So we don't end in Y, though, in this case. So what do we do? Maybe like a U. We could do a QU word, like quilt. All right, so because we only have yellows here, we know that the U couldn't have been our green. So why don't we try ending in Y then? And then we have two yellows here. Maybe like the I and the T, because then we could do an ITTY word, like ditty. Two greens, so that could be the Y, but it would mean that the I and the T aren't both in. So what we know is there's no U. If there's no U, there's also no Q. And because we know there's not both I and T, unless there's not a Y, it's possible that I and T were in. But if we're going to use the Y, then we need to use the L somewhere. And then, I don't know, we have O available still, so we could try the T and just say we placed one of these T's. So something like OLTY or something. That doesn't seem like that works. Or LO something TY. Or we could do LOT something Y. Or we could do OTLY. No, we can't do L there. Okay, I don't think this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say no J, no U, no Y. And then I'm going to say no Q and U. And we do have the IT. And then we place the I in one of these T's. I don't know which one. But we need to use an M or a P. So it could be something like pitch. All right, well, it can't be INT now. So what I'm going to say is we placed the I here. No T, no P. So I think that means we have the M and the D, and we need an L. I think I did that right. So DIM. Oh, this isn't a word. Okay, so maybe, well, we know there's no U. I'm really hoping there's no J. I mean, it's possible we have this Y, maybe. We know it's not INT, though. Maybe it's LNT with no I. And then we got the T right here. That would be required. So two greens, one green, two yellows, one green. So we'd be something like LOT something Y. Well, it'd have to be LOT, right? Because there's no other vowels. That doesn't work. Should we think about J? I just don't think there's a J. There's no U, so there's no Q. And we know it can't be both I and T, so there must be an L. That's actually the only real deduction we have, is that there must be an L and that there's no U. I really think I need a vowel, so let's use the I. And that would require D and I. So actually, why don't we ignore the J for a second? Why don't we just say no U? We know there's no U. That means there's no Q, because Q always requires a U in at least words that are on the answer list. We know it's not I and T, so we must use the L. So we know that so far. What if we don't use the I and we use the T instead? And that would be green here and green here. And then that's it for pitch. So we either need the D here. So we'd have to do D, T, L. That would be required. And we only have O's. So that's not it. So I think it's the Y then. This feels required. I feel like it's something like Fotley, Sotley, Watley, Votley. We know there's not double T, not that that would help. Or it's LOT something Y. Lotsy. We have S available. I'm going to see if I'm on the right track by guessing salty. 3 greens and salty. That would be this. Maybe it starts with O? Awful. Oh, not off. I thought oftly, but that's not even how you spell it. Owlty. Ontly. Walty. Ulty. Faulty. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to do another filler and see if, like, I'm going to do golly and see if it lines up with having that O there. Okay, golly is 2 greens. So in order for this to be correct, we would need to have no vowels. So I did not do this correctly. We know there's no U, which means there's no Q. We know there has to be an L in the word. And since it's green, we have 3 greens here. So the L has to be green here and here. Feels like we're using the Y still, but what if we use to the I? And then, so then O can't be in because it would have to be green there. And then it feels like the Y, but hold on. Let's think about this. What if we use the S? I think it's, oh, it's not silly. Silky. Let's just double check because it's the last guess. This is how silky would be colored. Oops. That's how we'd color silky. 2 greens, 3 greens, 1 green, 2 greens, 2 yellows, 1 green. Yeah, it's silky. Okay. Salty had an unfortunate result, but it did lead me to the answer. I think golly worked out really well. All right. Well, how'd you do?